the former president would not be attending the State Capture Commission of Inquiry this week, despite being legally compelled to do so. Bongadlulane is in Nkandla, outside the home of the former president. Bonga, a very good morning to you. So, is the former president in Nkandla? Do we know that for a fact today?
Only that's neither here nor there. That's something that they're very keeping close to their chest, those close to him, not willing to divulge where exactly the former president is at this moment. What we do know is that they're very committed, and they've told us that they're going to be positioned here until the 19th of this month, because they believe that the hawks or law officials might try to make a surprise arrest of the former president. So since the former president has released a statement through his lawyer saying that he's not going to the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, his supporters here of the MKMVA mainly are saying that that's exactly what they wanted. And they're also saying that, Koli, the commission is not a court of law. Despite a court of law, the highest court of the law, of the land rather, saying that the former president has to appear before the commission, they think his rights are being violated, and the man they're accusing that of doing that is the one who sits on top of that commission, which is Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. So they're basically saying that here today, they're making sure that they're on guard, and only there's a contingent of them. There's like 2 buses here, ensuring that basically having a camp outside the former president's home. We can see them, some of them going inside and out, but they've made it very clear that this will be their home for the next 4 days.
All right, Bonga, you've been speaking to those MKMVA members, but what about family members? Have you been able to get a hold of anyone from the family side just to confirm the whereabouts of the former president?
That's what we're exactly trying to do now, Oli. Just trying to get one of the family members here to speak to us, just to give us some sort of direction where the family's headspace is at, or what they feel about the president's latest statements of basically reiterating his not going to the Commission of Inquiry. So we're working through that to ensure that in getting one of his lives, one of the family members, Edward Zuma was joining some of the people last time when Jerusalem was here in a helicopter. So we're trying to get as much as we can from them so that they can give us a direction exactly where the former president is, what they're thinking right now, and whether or not they support his decision, which is likely that he's not going to the commission. So as soon as they come down, they've promised us actually that they will be speaking to us, but they've just not given us a time frame what that is. So it could be now, or it could be later in the day. So as things go by, but Edward Zuma has been coming out of here, going out, speaking to the MKMV members who are camping outside his home, and that he's been very friendly also, but at the same time saying that he will speak to us, but it just has to give us a time when exactly that will be. So the moment we have him, Oli, I think it will be a priority to get what they're thinking, what his uncle is thinking, because that's what he's basically been saying, that the former president and his family support his decision because they feel his rights are being violated. So as the moment he joins us, we'll ask him, and then he'll give us their side of the story as to why he's not going to that commission.
Bongadlulane, stay exactly where you are, and let's try and bring into the conversation Mbali Tetani. The ANC, you'll recall, has reiterated its resolution that all members should support the work of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. But here is the former president snubbing the commission. Newzroom Afrika's Mbali Tetani is in Rosebank at this time. Mbali, very good morning to you. Who do you have with you, and what about the resolution that was reiterated by the NEC just yesterday night by the president, that all members of the ANC should not only support but cooperate with the Commission of Inquiry into state capture?
That's right, Boli. We have heard word from the ANC reiterating that call, saying that its members should abide with the instructions of the Zondo Commission. But just a few moments ago, we've seen that statement coming out from Mabuza attorneys, who are the attorneys for former President Jacob Zuma. It was clear there where former President Jacob Zuma is is now reaffirming his position, saying that plan on appearing before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, essentially putting the ANC in a very difficult position. But we know that we've seen a number of its members and senior leaders of the ANC who have responded to Jacob Zuma's sentiments when it comes to his appearance before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. One of it was, of course, the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Ace Magashule, saying that what Jacob Zuma has done is okay, it's right, and he needs to be given space. You know, when he consults with his lawyers when it comes to his appearance before the commission. Xoli, let's take a listen to what the Secretary General of the ANC had to say to the media about Zuma's decision to not appear before the Zondo Commission.
My position and that position of the ANC is that the Constitution is an important document. And when people express different views in terms of the Constitution, remember the Constitution is not sacrosanct. The Constitution can be changed. You're talking as if people can't actually say anything on the Constitution. And that's why there is, for instance, a demand that we must actually amend Section 25 of the Constitution.
Well, 2 weeks ago, let's just remind you what President Cyril Ramaphosa said in regard to former President Jacob Zuma needing to be given more time to consider his decision. Let's have a listen.
This is a matter that I am sure he's going to give much more thought to, because he's being counseled by a number of people and a number of organizations that the constitutional structure that he contributed so much to needs to be given consideration. And I'm sure in his own mind, in his own time, he will think about all this. And I would like to say, let's give former President Jacob Zuma time and space to think about this and also to hear what other people are saying.
All right. Well, that's the president of the African National Congress, Cyril Ramaphosa. And while I have you colleagues, Bonga Dlulane and Mbali Tetane on screen, Bonga, let's come back to you a bit before we actually point out to viewers just some of what has been said by the ANC. Remind us, Bonga, who has been to Nkandla in the last few days, coming on the back of what the president of the ANC was saying, that the former president needs to be given more time to perhaps consult and reconsider his position.
Well, you remember famously that Julius Malema, who is the leader of the EFF and one of former President Jacob Zuma's nemesis, came here in a helicopter, basically, accompanied by the mayor of Ekurhuleni, Mzwandile Masina, basically to have tea. That's what they told the official statement. But rumors have been that, speculation has been that also that he was one of those people who are trying to convince Zuma that he has to appear before the commission. So not as famously or not as extravagant as a helicopter, you have the MKMVA here with buses basically, but for a different reason this time. They're basically here to say that they support the former president, whatever thing he does, and that they don't recognize the commission right now, the way that they're conducting themselves, because they think they're encroaching on Zuma's rights. So basically those are the few people who've been here recently, Xoli. But you know, the former president has always said that his home is welcome. ANC members, Ace Magashule has also been in touch with the president, but he also now has his own legal troubles. So you have to ask yourself as to what kind of counsel he's also getting, because he is represented by advocate Kakana, who's basically been saying that this commission, and also Mabuza attorneys releasing another statement today saying that these rights are not being respected, and that before this was issued, the judgment issued by the Constitutional Court, they already had an issue with Judge Raymond Zondo that he had to recuse himself because he was friendly with the former president and his family. So that's basically the events that led up to this, Xoli. And interestingly also is that Mr. Zuma says that he's not negating the law, or he's not trying to not recognize the Constitutional Court, but he thinks the way the court has behaved now is something that cannot be ignored, and that he's protecting only his rights. So whether Julius Malema or Mzwandile Masina or the MKMVA here, for different reasons, will get through to him whether or not he should appear. The commission seems to not have worked because the days that are set for him today until the 19th, he said today he's not going, uneasy. So basically now it seems to sober. Where to from now? Your guess is good as mine, Xoli.
All right, Bonga Dlulane, thank you very much for the time being. We'll keep tabs on the developments in Nkandla if and when someone does speak from that side. And let's just remind you, as I was saying, the ANC, through the president's remarks yesterday at the conclusion of the NEC meeting, and there is one of the sentences in that three-page statement where the president of the ANC is saying the ANC reiterates our position, or rather our support for the work of the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture, chaired by Deputy Chief Justice, and we unreservedly urge our members and all South Africans to cooperate with this commission. Well, Mbali Tetani, I've just read out that statement. My understanding is that you have with you Carl Niehaus, the spokesperson of the MKMVA. That's part of the people who are camping outside Nkandla. Yesterday, I had a conversation with the MK Council, who were very clear that if the former president is not going to respect the laws of the country, then the law must take its course. What's the response?
That's right, Xoli. You must be asking yourself, why am I coming to you live from the streets of Rosebank? Now, we did ask the MKMVA to conduct this interview outside Luthuli House, and most of them were just basically saying that, well, they do show their support for former President Jacob Zuma. They also don't want to be seen as if they are disrespecting Luthuli House, the headquarters of the party, and hence is why we are actually conducting this specific interview in a very neutral place. Now, I'm going to bring in Carl Niehaus. As you've said, Xoli, he is the spokesperson of the MKMVA. Now, Carl, we've just seen that communication from former President Jacob Zuma's lawyers saying that, reiterating his stance and reaffirming his stance that he will not appear before the commission today. Just your response to that.
Well, that communication of President Jacob Zuma's lawyers confirm what President Zuma had been saying in the statement that he issued on the 1st of February. And also what he shared with us as MKMVA when we visited him at Nkandla. President Zuma is very firm that he will not attend to the Zondo Commission under the current circumstances. He has stated his case that he believes that Mr. Justice Zondo is biased against him. He is very concerned that the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture rushed to the Constitutional Court, while President Zuma already had an appeal against Deputy Justice Zondo's refusal to recuse himself. He feels that that was an indication, a further indication, of the targeting and the biasness of Mr. Justice Zondo and the Commission. President Zuma was never against attending the Commission and giving evidence. He's made it clear in that letter, and I believe it is also made clear in the letter that was issued today. His concern is that he does not want to give evidence in front of a judge that has showed himself to be demonstrably biased towards him. And we are very concerned that the Constitutional Court, in what seems to be almost a pathological attempt to get to President Zuma, made a ruling that takes some of the most fundamental rights of President Zuma, constitutional rights of President Zuma, away from him. His right to remain silent and not to incriminate himself. And President Zuma explained to us on Thursday that he, as one of the senior leaders who fought for the liberation of South Africa and contributed to our constitutional state being established, feels that he is duty-bound to resist this kind of undermining of constitutional rights, because the undermining of his right also means that the right of all of us as South Africans is now in jeopardy. to remain silent and not to incriminate ourselves. Remember, the Constitutional Court is the apex court. It establishes case history. It establishes what other courts refer to. Now we have a situation where the Constitutional Court ruled that you do not have the right to remain silent, which is a fundamental constitutional right enshrined in our Constitution.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, Akoli, that is Carl Niehaus there speaking about that response from former President Jacob Zuma, saying that he has reaffirmed his position. You'd remember that the MKMVA last week had a meeting with the former president. It was quite a lengthy meeting there, saying that and stating his reasons that he feels as if his rights are being violated. He feels targeted by the commission and says that the commission is essentially biased. We've seen that letter saying that he is awaiting the outcomes of the High Court, of course, looking into this issue. But Xoli, we know that the MKMVA, as we've seen with my colleague Bonga Zulani, they are stationed outside in Nkandla, and they're saying that they are there to protect the former president should he be arrested.
Yeah, Bali Tetane, thank you very much.